I want to share with you an interesting endgame position on 9 by 9. And since it's 9 by 9, I can very quickly show you how we get to the endgame position. So we start from this quite common opening. This is on GoQuest known as the black boomerang opening. And there are multiple ways to go from here. In this case, white goes for the tiger's mouth, which is threatening to push and cut here. If black goes for this stone right now, white will just push and cut. And this is a bit troublesome for black to play. Maybe it's still possible to play like this, but I would say white is easier to play. So black just connects solidly, white connects this stone, and thanks to f5 taking a liberty from e5, black can now go all the way to d3 like this. White Hanes, black Ataris, and you note that e5 is not really important in of itself, but white can't try anything here because allowing this move to come with Atari is just not acceptable. So white just has to back off, and now we're already in a very simple looking endgame. But it's not easy to play correctly from here. First of all, we have to notice that black can't get c1 here in center. You might hope that you could Hane, and white would just respond, and then black gets everything, but it's actually not possible, because at this time white will cut. And you know, even though black set up this cut here, of course black can't cut immediately, so black is going to have to Atari this stone out. And after white turns here, there is going to be trouble on one of the two sides. I won't get into all the details here, but let me just give one cool variation. If black saves the corner side, white can Hane and cut. And this is going to be trouble. So if you're curious, you can look more at it yourself, but this is an overplay for black. So instead, black should take an endgame on top, and starting with the Hane. But the really interesting part is how to connect now this Hane here. There are sort of three plausible ways to do it. There is the solid connection, which is usually the best way to minimize agi, not leave any co-threats, also prepare the center move at d9 next. We have the hanging connection, which has the upside that it leaves some co-potential after the Hane. That is sometimes useful. And dropping down, which is often a beginner mistake as an endgame move, but it has its use if it's the very last point on the board. Then it can sometimes be used to play e9 instead of f8 to secure the most points. So which of these is best really depends on the whole board position. So if you want to, you can pause the video here and try to figure out which of these is best in this case. There is only one correct answer. So let's talk about them one at a time. Let's start by looking at the solid connection, which would probably be the go-to idea. If you don't have any reason to pick between them, just go with the most solid, leave the fewest co-threats and so on. What's going to happen in this case is that white will Hane. After white Hanes, black can't Atari. This is a common Tesuji. So black has to back off like this. And since white does all of this in center, white also gets e9. So this is kind of sad for black. Black never got d9 center, and there's no time to play it. If black tries it now, this is just bigger for white to get f2. So this is not happy for black. But if we just change to the descent instead and play out the same sequence, same center, and then white goes down here, then black got one extra point at f9, so this would be a success for black. But white is not going to let that happen. If black plays the descent, white is first going to force with d9, and then instead of the Hane, which is normally the correct move because it keeps center, it's better now to play the clamp, which is gote but 1 point better. So like this, black gained 1 point at f9 but lost a point on at e3, so this is just as bad as the solid connection. And the only correct move in this case is the hanging connection. And it actually doesn't have anything to do with the ko here at d9, c9, c8. That ko is not really possible for black to fight. It's only about the pure endgame here. So let's start by looking at if white goes for the center endgame down here, then again white can't play e9 now. White can only play here, and black got that extra point at f8. If instead white wants to take the gote endgame, then black is going to get t9 and reduce white. So this is also a success for black. White gained 1 point by reducing here, but black reduced white 2 points up here. So there's no option for white to descend here in center like before. Now if white descends here, black could go down here, and even if white gets all this is still a success for black. Black kept many more points than before down here. So with the hanging connection, white has no way to get both the best endgame down here and up here. Black is going to get either an extra point down here or this. If white wants to take all the points down here, black is going to get this on a connection. So I found this quite interesting. It's a clear example of why the hanging connection can be the best move, even devoid of any co-considerations. So I hope you liked it too. Thank you for watching.